from covering gender-affirming care, including hormone therapy and gender-affirming surgeries for both trans youth and adults, okay? Remember how these attacks on trans folks, it always starts about, we're trying to protect the children, we're trying to protect the children, and of course it was never actually just about the children. They're using this as a way to attack all trans people, and now they're also coming after trans health care for adults as well, okay? The sweeping prohibition affects health benefits for more than 10 million federal workers, okay, and their family members, which is one of the largest rollbacks of trans healthcare access in U.S. history, okay? So this is important to note, to see what this Trump administration is doing. They are attacking healthcare for trans people, right? So that is a way that they're just trying to attack trans folks and make them as uncomfortable living here as possible. Even more disturbing, the memo mandates that insurers cover faith-based counseling for trans individuals, otherwise known as conversion therapy. So they're taking away trans health care, but now they're covering a conversion therapy. Isn't that crazy? Yep. Conversion therapy notably has been debunked and seen for as harmful by many different professional organizations and health professionals, right? So, taken together, the provisions appear designed not to just strip access to necessary medical care, but to coerce federal workers into detransitioning or to leave public service altogether. Do you think somebody needs to have to choose between their job and access to their health care?
Yeah, it's super fucked up.
It's super fucked up, right? That's not okay. This discriminatory policy denying medical care to government employees and their dependents is not cruel. It is illegal, said Lambda Legal Counsel and healthcare strategists. The federal government simply cannot strip away essential health care coverage from trans employees while providing comprehensive medical care to all other federal workers. That's discriminatory, right? They're only coming after trans folks, right? Okay, beyond the fundamental equal protection guarantees enshrined in our Constitution, which prohibit such actions, multiple federal laws also prohibit this type of discrimination, and the federal government cannot simply ignore and violate these laws. So this is something that we've been seeing a lot with the Trump administration. They've been passing all of his executive orders, illegal executive orders, that there is no way to actually enforce what it is that he's trying to push, but he likes to threaten people's access to healthcare, strip funding from different organizations and groups, strip funding from hospitals, strip funding from schools that deny his illegal executive orders, even if they are illegal, okay? So it's important that we resist, right? Resistance is important, yes. And also to make sure that we understand what's going on. So we see the Trump administration attacking trans healthcare for federal workers. All right, on to the next one. This dude, anti-trans AG Andrew Bailey. Anybody know of him? Know of him? He has been appointed to FBI leadership role, okay? So he's an antagonist of trans Americans. He's a former Missouri Attorney General, and he's been appointed to co-deputy director of the FBI. Notably, the one that he's replacing is being dropped because of his mismanagement of the Epstein files, which they should release, right? Okay. So this guy has been on an anti-trans crusade for a lot of years, okay? So in 2023, he launched an investigation into Washington University in St. Louis and other providers of trans-affirming healthcare on drummed up and dubious claims that gender clinics violated consumer protection laws, right? So they like to make this shit up to make people scared of trans folks and not understand what trans healthcare is, which trans healthcare is life-saving care, okay?
Yes!
It's important for everybody to have access to the healthcare that they need. Bailey has also launched an anti-trans snitch line to try to ensnare and affirming providers, encouraging citizens to report gender care clinics, okay? This line was instead flooded with messages of support for the trans community. and anger about Missouri's discriminatory policies. That's the best thing to do. They love to do this fucking snitch lines and bullshit, and we just flood them with good things about all the people that they try to attack. Right? Okay? So we love to see resistance in that way, okay? He issued an emergency order banning trans people of all ages from accessing care unless they cleared arbitrary, unscientific, and untenable hurdles designed solely to make gender-affirming care inaccessible to as many trans people as possible. The order declared that new patients could not receive gender-affirming care unless they had at least 3 years of documented gender dysphoria, okay? And that's not rooted in anything that's scientific or by medical professionals. Can you imagine having to deal with something for 3 years before getting health care for it? Ridiculous. Okay, yeah, your like knees fucked up for 3 years before you can get surgery on your knee. Like, come on, like trans healthcare is healthcare, okay? Yes. So now? You shouldn't do dysphoria to access HRT. Yes. Okay. Dysphoria. Yes, you shouldn't need dysphoria to access HRT. Yes. Everybody should be able to access the healthcare that they need. Now, as Bailey steps into his new role, the DOJ is in the midst of its own campaign to terrorize trans folks, parents of trans youth, and gender-affirming care providers, including through subpoenas demanding sensitive patient and clinician information, such as email exchanges, medical notes, and home addresses, okay? So now this guy is in charge of the FBI, and what do you think he's gonna do with that role? Exploit. Probably continue to attack trans folks, right? So, but that is obviously what the Trump administration is aimed to do, okay? On to the next one. Orlando citizens recolor Colts Memorial sidewalk. Okay, make some noise for them right there. So, in July, the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy issued a letter to the governors in all 50 states calling for the removal of pride crosswalks, and within days, of course, the Florida Department of Transportation followed suit, sending a memo declaring that any crosswalks bearing social, political, or ideological messages or images would be stripped away, and one of the first to go, which is so cruel and fucked up, was the site of the 2016 Pulse nightclub massacre, okay? Where dozens of LGBTQ people were killed, okay? On Tuesday night, the DeSantis administration officials quietly painted over the memorial under the cover of darkness. Notably, they did this overnight when nobody was fucking paying attention because they're what? Fucking cowards. Pieces of shit, okay? Ooh, sorry. Right there. You got a bingo? You got a bingo? Okay, Rye's gonna check. Rye's my assistant for the day. Make some noise for Rye. We have to check it first.
I'm legit, I swear.
Okay, you passed! Our first bingo winner. Our first bingo will take a prize. Okay, so now we're moving on to who's our second bingo winner. Were y'all paying attention? Okay. An X. Yes, okay. All right, but the story didn't end there. The very next day, Orlando residents rallied at the site and restored the rainbow colors, y'all, defiantly insisting that their community would not be erased, okay? So we love to see acts of resistance. I think it's really important to understand that, like, us queer people in red states, as much as people are like, y'all should just move away or y'all get what you deserve because of who y'all voted for, we are some of the biggest resistors of this kind of administration, and people can learn from us, especially in free states. So I really love to see what they're doing in Florida. This is not the only time that they have resisted. They did do, they took all the flashlights from, were you here for that story? Off the bridge, they did, for Pride Month, they wouldn't let them light the bridge up in rainbow colors. So instead, they all got onto the bridge with flashlights with the various colors and lit it up themselves. Isn't that cool? Okay, so we'd love to see what they're doing in Florida. Right? Has anybody been to Florida before? Yes. I know, I'm like, I don't know if I've been there before. I think I did on a cruise or something, you know? What happened? Okay, hold on, I'm getting there. Shh. Okay, on to the next one. I go, shh. The removal of the pride crosswalks, especially when memorializing the victims of anti-LGBTQ mass shooting, underscores how Republicans are increasingly embracing far-right politics, even when it means citing those who wish harm on marginalized communities. Like, isn't that disgusting? Like, that was a tragedy, and they deserve to be memorialized and recognized, but instead they just care to erase our community, right?
Yeah.
So, following the rally that restored the Pulse Memorial Crosswalk, reports of similar resistance began surfacing across Florida. In Delray Beach, community members are fighting to preserve their Pride intersection. In Gainesville, residents are rallying to defend their crosswalk and even proposing new rainbow installations on sidewalks that may be less vulnerable to state interference. Miami Beach has also pushed back with one commissioner declaring, we need to resist this action. We need to protect the individuality of our community, the freedom of safety that our rainbow crosswalks express to the world, okay? So Republicans in Florida have relentlessly tried to erase the LGBTQ community, but every attempt has only fueled resistance. Earlier this year when the state banned pride lights on bridges, they brought their own flashlights and bathed the bridge in rainbow colors. Anyway, this week when the Pulse Memorial Crosswalk was painted over in the dead of night, the community restored it again and again. Floridians are sending the same message no matter how hard the state tries to erase them. LGBTQ people are here to stay! Yes, they sure are, bitch, okay? You can't erase no amounts of laws or legislation or bullshittery can ever erase the power of queer people, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? But now on to what you were saying. The next one, please. Florida deploys police to guard crosswalks from being painted. Isn't that so stupid? That's what they're using their time and their resources on, is to, how dare anybody chalk up a sidewalk with colors. How scary. So after Florida residents showed up to repaint the chalk colors, after state officials painted over the rainbow colors, Florida's Department of Transportation once again sent crews to scrub out the rainbow colors. And the following day, residents returned to re-chalk the Pulse Memorial Crosswalk. This time they were met with a line of police stationed at the site, watching to ensure nothing would be laid down. Isn't that stupid? Do you think that that's what police should be doing with their time? But it kind of goes to show how police are weaponized against marginalized community over and over and over, right? Do they actually keep us safe? Questionable. Okay. Citizens are quick to call out the absurdity of stationing a squadron of officers to guard a single crosswalk. Having police watch over us is unsettling. It's a sign of the times and sadly becoming the new normal. Representative Anna Escamani echoed the frustration. It's sad that we're in a position where the state resources are being used to enforce colors on the road, okay? You have potholes to fix and real crime to go after, right? Right, so it kind of shows the absurdity of anti-trans people and anti-LGBTQ people. They hate us so much, they're angry about chalk in the middle of the road. Isn't that wild? Yeah, it's absurd and stupid. Imagine actually giving a fuck about things that matter. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, let's talk about Gavin Newsom. Okay, well, it's not going to be great. So,
Oh no.
I think that this is important to talk about, right? Because we do see what Gavin Newsom's doing with the redistricting in California, and notably that is very important that we do resist these kinds of changes, cheating, especially by Republicans, right? But Gavin Newsom has also kind of caved into anti-trans ideas, right? So as much as the Democrats are celebrating Gavin Newsom, we do need to be really realistic about the person that we're celebrating and make sure that we are holding him accountable for these things. Because obviously, he's probably looking to run for a bigger office in the future, right? So we need to know what is going on, okay? So if you scroll through social media, you probably see Democrats cheering on Gavin Newsom for trolling Donald Trump, but his brand of politics is a flashing warning sign for trans people and learning how quickly politicians can turn on them, okay? So this year, Gavin Newsom's office quietly worked behind the scenes to block or bury trans protections in California. Did y'all know this?
Sorry.
Yes, so this is what's happening. California is supposed to be like this place that's supposed to take care of everybody, right? And be pro-LGBTQ, right? And yet they're caving on trans people. Trans people is where it begins, right? But then they're gonna go after gay people, they're gonna go after women, they're gonna go after everybody, okay? So one measure requiring judges in custody disputes to consider whether parents affirm their LGBTQ children vetoed outright. And lawmakers say others were discouraged from moving forward under pressure from the governor's office, okay? The rhetoric quickly followed. He was on the podcast with Charlie Kirk. Y'all know who that fucker is?
Yes,
He's a far-right personality. Gavin Newsom got on his podcast, okay? And he declared he was completely aligned with Kirk on some trans issues. He blamed, we talked about this at legislation when it happened. He blamed the 2014 California law protecting trans equality for allowing trans teens to compete while a trans runner at San Jose State University. So he did cave into the anti-trans athlete bullshit, right? I think that's important to note that if they start with trans athletes, they start with bathroom issues, but it really is their foot in the door to continue to push trans ideas, right? There are a lot of different ways that competitions make sure that whoever is competing is in the correct category, right? So they are tested, and especially trans folks who are getting the kind of hormone therapies that they need, their body's going to change as well, right? So trans people deserve to be everywhere in the bathroom of their choosing and on whatever sports team they want to be, okay? Newsom has joined Kirk in targeting trans incarcerated people and agreed that society must be more sensitized to what they call the butchery of trans youth, right-wing shorthand for gender-affirming care. So, yes, okay, we need to talk about this, especially with as much praise as he's getting these days, right? So we've seen before rhetoric quickly translated into policy. The California Interscholastic Federation issued a new rule targeting the trans track and field athlete who had transitioned young. She could no longer place as any girl would. Instead, whatever place she earned would be duplicated and shared with the next highest cisgender competitor. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, on to the next one. We're still talking about him. I think that this is important to know, okay? We are seeing a lot of anti-trans rhetoric, and it becomes even scarier when you see it from the Democrats, right?
Yeah.
He's following a pipeline trans people have seen time and time again. Those who embrace transphobia, even the slightest, always end up sliding further into opposition into nearly every facet of trans existence. That's why I say it's things like trans athletes and bathrooms. It's just their foot in the door for continuing to target trans people out of just existing on a day-to-day level, right? So some may argue that the alternative would be worse, and in many respects, Trump or whatever Trump-like candidate emerges in 2028 would be worse than Newsom on a host of issues. But even here, for trans people, the calculation is not so straightforward. Right now, the community has one thing going for it. One major political party still passes protective legislation and has not joined the litany of anti-trans policies escalating in red states. If that fragile dichotomy collapses, if Democrats too decide that trans people can be sacrificed for political gain, the result would not be a lesser evil. It will be a political consensus that our rights are gone and that outcome could be even worse, okay? Trans people have watched this performance before and we know exactly where it leads. Whatever one thinks of Newsom as a politician or future candidate, it is crucial to understand that for many in our community, his rise provokes as much fear as the Republican Party itself. The damage he can inflict is in some ways greater. Republicans attacking us keep allies on alert, ready to resist. But when Democrats begin to adopt the same rhetoric, that resistance dissolves. Right. Transphobia inside the party is not a treatable wound inflicted by the far right. It's a malignancy, slow-moving but devastating one that threatens to hollow out decades of progress from within. And if it spreads unchecked, it could mark to the end of so much of our community has fought to preserve. So it's important to talk about these things, okay? So as much as we do celebrate some of the work that Gavin Newsom does, we need to hold him accountable for the shit that he has said about the trans community, okay? And so now that we're all aware of that, we understand, right?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
because we have seen Democrats cave to far-right rhetoric. Who was the guy who ran against Ted Cruz? Allred, not Beto. Allred, he himself used a far-right talking point in his ad. attacking trans people, saying that he doesn't believe boys should be in girls' sports. That is a far-right talking point that a Democratic candidate used in his ad, okay? You know what Democrats should actually talk about is, hey, maybe instead of focusing on trans people, we should focus on real issues affecting Texans, you know? Well, there was I forget where it was, somebody running for office against somebody who was using a lot of anti-trans rhetoric, and they put out this flyer that said, my opponent's worried about potties, but I'm worried about potholes, okay? So, you know, I think that it's things like that where it's like you can show the absurdity of a transpose, right? They're so obsessed with people's genitals, what bathroom they're using, and people's health care, but I think we should allow people to get the health care they need and use whatever bathroom they want to use. Right, okay. On to the next one. See, Democratic consultants tell politicians to avoid terms like LGBTQIA. See, so this is a slippery slope. This is why it's important to talk about, okay? So centrist think tank Third Way has recently released a list of words it believes Democratic politicians should avoid, referring to them as wildly out of touch social positions. This list includes neutral community descriptors such as LGBTQIA and BIPOC. Isn't that crazy? What the hell? Like, okay, we're that sensitive right now. And then they call us the snowflakes. And we can't say LGBTQIA or BIPOC. The effect of this language is to sound like the extreme, divisive, elitist, obfuscatory, I don't even know how to say that word. Obfuscatory?
Obfuscatory.
You slay. Okay, enforcers of wokeness. Like, they sound like a fucking far-right group, right? Do they not sound like a far-right group? The group wrote, to please the few, we have alienated the many, especially on cultural issues where our language sounds superior, haughty, and arrogant. Words on the list include, ready? Thank you, assistant. Okay, ready? Privilege, triggering, othering, microaggression, holding space, body shaming, subverting norms, systems of oppression, cultural appropriation, existential threat, the unhoused, food insecurity, okay? Housing insecurity, people who immigrated, a birthing person, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy, like what the fuck? Okay, LGBTQ, BIPOC, allyship, and incarcerated people. So don't you see how this overlaps with how it attacks just more than just the trans community? They're coming for every marginalized community. We can't talk about anybody who needs fucking help. Isn't that crazy? Okay, both Third Way and Trump take issue with gender-neutral parenting terms, with the former specifically criticizing birthing person, the later banning terms like breastfeed, you can't say breastfeed, or uterus, okay, or if the word person is attached to them.
What does that even
A
mean?
uterus is always attached to a person.
Isn't it? Isn't it crazy? It is crazy, right? So that means we just have to use those words more, right?
Yes.
I don't need to understand.
That's why we talk about these things, because they don't want us to talk about these things, right? They don't want us to talk about like a house. They don't want us to talk about incarcerated people. They don't want us to talk about birthing bodies, reproductive health care, trans people, right? This last one, they take issues with gender-neutral parenting terms. What are you doing back there? What are you cheering about? Okay, so it's important to understand that like Democrats, we need to pressure them to not just capitulate to this bullshit, right?
That's exactly right.
Right, okay, on to the next one. Okay, let's debunk this right now. There is no evidence to suggest that supporting legal rights for trans people have cost Democrats politically. There's literally no evidence, okay? They did throw trans people under the bus, even here in Texas, bitch. They threw trans people under the bus after we lost Whereas Kamala Harris's 2024 presidential campaign largely ignored trans issues, the GOP spent over $215 million on anti-trans attack ads. That's $77 for every trans person in the US. That's how obsessed they are with trans people, okay? Which a post-election study showed had no impact on voters' decisions. Only 18% of registered voters in a separate September Gallup poll said candidates' positions on trans rights is extremely important to them. Okay, so they were really, really obsessed with anti-trans ads, and the Democrats did nothing to push back on that. They barely spoke on trans issues at all. Okay, I went to go speak at the Texas Democratic Convention, and they almost didn't let me on stage.
But they didn't win. I know.
Literally, they accidentally flashed my name on stage, and that's when people from groups like Equality Texas started to ask questions, and I was in the back like, why am I being skipped over and over? Literally, fully in tears, okay? Not knowing what's going on, knowing exactly what's going on at the same time, right? I should have been full drag, by the way, but I was dressed like Dolly Parton. You can be mad at Dolly Parton, okay? All right? But I'm sitting there crying, and all of a sudden I hear, welcome to the stage, Brigitte Bandit. Okay, and I ran out there, and like the cancer I am, I got my tears together, and I slayed my speech, y'all. I had a standing ovation, and I think that was really cool. I think when people actually listen to like queer stories and they learn about trans people, they're able to see us as human, and they're able to see us for who we are, right? But then I opened the internet, and it was some of the hardest things I've ever experienced. And I was a part of the lawsuit that blocked the drag ban, but Ted Cruz was coming for me, Greg Abbott was coming for me. Of course, I clapped back at both of those bitches, and they shut right up, okay? But Libs of TikTok came for me, and they started to say things. Do y'all know what Libs of TikTok is? It's this far-right hate group. So a lot of this rhetoric we see, it's pushed by these smaller hate groups that just like they like to make up lies and post it on the internet. Blatant lies saying that drag queen advocates for sex change surgeries for minors. I didn't say shit about any kind of fucking surgery, okay? I said gender affirming care is life-saving. That's what I said, and that is true, okay? So, but I got so much hate, and it was so scary. And you want to know what the Texas Dems did? Nothing. It was so disappointing. It was so disappointing. And then whenever they lost their election, despite even using anti-trans rhetoric, they still blamed trans people for us losing the election.
Trans people are not the
And that's when I called out their fucking bullshit that they did, and I said, just like I wanted to show me up then and blame me for, it was so disappointing listening to someone like the podcast afterwards, who are supposed to be progressive people. They're like, the drag queen was just a distraction at the DNC, the Texas Democratic, not the National, the Texas Democratic Convention. And I'm like, y'all aren't talking about any of the issues that I spoke about.
Right.
You're no better than the fucking Republicans. You're completely distracted just that there's a drag queen, but you're not actually listening to me. The people who actually listen to me and my story, I got a standing ovation. That's what you should be talking about. You should be talking about the issues, right? Instead, they just use us and that's why I'm talking about these things, because I've seen it firsthand, and I see the way that our country is going and how trans people are really, they are being thrown under the bus so badly right now, not just by Republicans, but also Democrats.
Yes.
And so we need to be so aware. That's why I do things like this and educate people, because a lot of our rights, they're intersectional, okay? So what happens to trans people, what you allow for trans people, you allow for yourself, right? Right. So it's important that we stand together, stand with trans folks and queer folks, okay?
Yes.
Yes. So while some Democrats have attempted to distance themselves from the trans community by using the same GOP talking points, talking about men and women's sports, what was his name again? Allred? Oh, God.
Colin
Allred.
Allred.
Anyway, may have harshly condemned the strategy not only as cruel but short-sighted and ineffective. Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, I don't know if I said that right, said during an April party dinner, these same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on the defense of black people, of trans kids, and of immigrants instead of their own lack of guts and gumption, okay? Now that is a Democrat that we need more Democrats like that in office,
Which is
okay?
like awesome. He's awesome, actually.
Yeah,
Somebody's
imagine if you
gonna
actually
start
tried to
calling
fight
him
back.
out.
I think that maybe they would actually get some fucking votes, bitch. Okay. On to the next one. So in Alaska, the medical board moves to ban gender-affirming care. We got a bingo? Okay, let's check it. You don't have bingo until Bryce says you have bingo. Do you have bingo? Do you have bingo too?
Are you drinking anything?
I can allow multiple bingo winners, okay? I'm the boss here. I'm the boss here. We're not here to follow rules. We're queer folks, okay? We got a bingo. I think we might have a second bingo too. Come grab whatever you want up here. Whatever you can see in the box, whatever's on the table, whatever you like.
Modelo.
Okay. You want something? I'll take. You want something? I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, I get one of those
Mine's my
bands
thing. I'll get
over
you.
here.
Okay.
Lime and
They're nice. They're nice. Okay, so the board unanimously. Do we have a second winner? Oh, we have two winners! Yay! Okay, so now we're going on blackout, right? Are we going on blackout? Yes, okay.
I just need, but you need 3 more. I need 4 more.
So the Alaska Medical Board is trying to ban gender-affirming care, right? So it's important to understand what's happening in other states as well. And what they're trying to do is call gender-affirming care for minors, such as puberty blockers and hormone treatments, as unprofessional conduct. If finalized, it would give the board discretion over the enforcement of sanctions doled out, such as fines or loss of licensure. So they're basically going after medical professionals who provide gender-affirming care for kids, okay? And I think it's important to understand what gender-affirming care for kids look like. Puberty blockers, it just pauses puberty for a few years. Imagine if you start growing breasts, but you know you're a man, right? That would cause mental distress. And then they sit there and they argue against surgeries, and it's like, well, maybe if we had puberty blockers, they wouldn't need to get top surgery later in life, right? So it just ends up snowballing on itself, right? And we have learned that gender-affirming care for trans kids is life-saving care. They find the lower rates of suicide, suicide ideation in kids who have the access to care that they need, right? So these things are really important. Why would medical professionals try to keep that away from kids? It's all transphobia, okay? So with many anti-trans provisions, it glosses over the immense obstacles already standing between trans people's access to health care, right? So there's already so many things that they have to do to get access to care. And suggests a misleading frequency of certain kinds of procedures, such as a phalloplasty. Big words for Brigitte, okay? And carves out exceptions for the often invasive and needless medical interventions used on cis intersex kids, okay? The rule still undergoes a legal review followed by 30-day public comment, so there's still ways to fight back, and almost already 800 medical professionals in the state have signed a petition protesting the restrictions, okay? So we even see medical professionals coming out and saying, no, we don't want to do this. Why are y'all doing this to us? We care about the people that we provide care for, all right? Tom Pittman said in a press release that they would not capitulate to demands that seek to eradicate life-saving care for trans youth. We will continue delivering that care, and we will not back down from defending the right of Alaska's families and providers to make those decisions free from political interference. He said, our commitment is unwavering to protect care, defend truth, and stand with trans youth. So make some noise for resistance, okay? Resistance is very important. We love to see it. I think that is it for our federal news, but now we're going to get into some state and local news. Move on to the next one. Okay, we just have just have a few things to go over here. What time is it right now? Where am I at? Okay, I've been yapping at y'all for a while. Are y'all doing good? Right, after this, we're gonna have some drugs. So we're gonna have some fun after this. I know I've been talking a lot of shit. Okay, but y'all will see some drag too. Let's get into it. Happy Pride! Okay. So this past weekend, the Austin Pride Foundation put on Austin's 35th annual Pride Festival and Parade on Saturday. Who went? Make some noise, okay? So they said that this year's festival is smaller than past years because of a significant decrease in the foundation's number of sponsors and vendors for the event. So this is something that we've been seeing all over the country, is a lot of companies and people who previously would be a part of Pride, they're backing out of Pride right now, okay? They're only in it whenever it's the cool thing to do, right? But whenever it comes to actually standing with our community, bitch, they're gone. Where the fuck they at, okay? Target, right, okay? So, I mean, amongst many others, there's a whole fucking list somewhere, right? He said in past years there were about 150 to 200 vendors, but there were only around 70 this year. That's like less than half than before, right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Okay. The number of groups participating in the parade also decreased from about 140 groups to 90 this year. That's a significant decrease as well, and estimated that the organization lost $150 to $200,000 in donations and funding that came from sponsors that pulled out since last year. I want to know the sponsors that pulled out. Come on, Austin Pride, release it. Put them on blast, bitch. Okay. I want to know. I guess maybe I could like do research and
You
figure
just
it out.
compare the list.
I don't know if the list is still up from last year. I'm sure someone has it.
I have it.
You have it somewhere? Okay, we'll do that.
It's on
We'll
my
do
hard
that.
drive. Yeah.
Okay. You got the information, let me know. All right. So all entertainment was local, entry was free, whereas the previous years and attendees had to pay for a ticket. And this year's theme was silence equals death, okay? They said we do this because we love our community, we do it to give Austin a place to celebrate, to shine, and to feel seen, despite a world that often tries to erase us, to silence us, and to stamp out our history. But the fight goes on, and that's why this year's theme is so powerful. You can't silence us, you can't erase us, we're not going anywhere. We've always been here, and we will always be here, right? Right. I thought it was pretty powerful to have the Austin Pride Parade walking right across that building where most of our rights are being taken away. But I do wonder where all those bitches are whenever it's time to fight against some of this fucking shit. Okay, anyway, on to the next one. Texas tea, that got cut off a little bit.
Bingo.
Oh, we got a bingo?
2 bingo.
3 bingos, 4 bingos. Okay, everybody's a winner. Everybody's a winner. No, if you got bingos, you can. And it's right. Y'all can name whatever you want.
So I don't either. Those Tito shirts are really cute. Did you see the Tito shirt?
There's cute little Tito shirts. There's fans. I personally would get a fanny pack because I'm that bitch, you know. I like how y'all are all waving y'all's cards around. Did you get 2 of them? Y'all all won?
No, I'm just showing you.
Okay.
I'm showing your birthday.
You get yourself something.
I don't work for Tito's, bitch. I wish Tito's would pay me some, okay?
Well, they're Republican.
They're Republican? Okay, why do we have this here?
Are you shooting? Positive.
I do need merch. I do need merch, and actually I do have merch that I've been trying to put back on my website, but then I keep getting distracted by fighting bullshit bills, you know? I have merch and it's like my body, so it has like big titties on it.
Period.
Yes, it's really cute. I'm gonna put it back on my website.
I got one of those.
But I'm not giving away that for free, okay? Y'all need to buy
My
that.
daughter's boyfriend like
Those are expensive, alright? Okay.
I love how we're shopping the merch, like the hand-me-downs.
We got 7 bingoes.
The Tito shirts are really cute. I have to say, they're Republican. The flags are cute. There's a lot of koozies. There's a bracelet.
I'm just letting you unpause it for a moment. They're all distracted getting their shit. How's everybody doing? Are y'all doing
So
good?
the one on the,
Yeah.
the thing is a regular t-shirt, and this one is V-neck.
No.
Right!
I don't. I use totes all the time.
Am I getting another school teacher right now?
No, I'm not.
Librarian.
Are they
The
really?
librarian.
Who said that?
I just made it for my daughter's birthday. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
I
so.
don't think they are.
What?
Are they?
They are.
Republican?
100%. The foundation. Love Tito's. 100%.
Got his boss.
Okay, we ready to keep yapping? How are we doing?
I'm not kidding.
Why did I do that?
That's a bummer.
Okay, let's talk about what happened during the bathroom bill hearing on Friday. Was anybody there?
Woo!
I know Ryan was there. You were there too?
I was there.
Oh.
With you, babe.
That's how you were. It was too early for me. My brain was not on.
I mean, Ryan-
I didn't know what time I had to wake up to put that wig on. No, I painted my face the fastest I think I've ever painted my face.
I mean, we
I was like, no, nobody look at me underneath this fluorescent light right now. Okay? It was crazy. So, there was some funny bullshit that happened during the hearing. So some transphobic witness made gory threats. A far-right activist threatened to assault trans women during his testimony, y'all, okay? Commenting that he has previously attempted to intentionally injure someone in a public facility to help them save
They
money
claim
on
they're
body
not.
surgery.
They say they
Do you
do
think
not.
that this
Despite
not
the
keeps
rumors,
people
they're like,
safe,
no.
bitch?
No, they are.
This is they're all about keeping women and girls safe. This man is
Virginia Lee
making
has been a
threats
sponsor every year,
to
but they are
fucking
wrong.
mutilate people. That's the actual mutilation that's happening.
their actions show
Jack
different.
Figure, he's a representative of the
Their
San
actions
Antonio Family
show
Association.
differently.
Notably, a lot of these far-right groups like to hide behind being a family organization. They're all about the family. They're all about the Christian values, yada yada, right? It's kind of like a
Doesn't work out.
yeah, that's not actually about the family, right? No, it's about their bigotry and their bullshit, right? Anti-LGBTQ and anti-abortion group founded in 2011. They made remarks during a committee hearing regarding SB 8, which would restrict bathrooms and changing rooms in federal buildings, prisons, and schools based solely on a person's biological sex assigned at birth. Finger led his remarks by repeatedly misgendering trans women, of course, and he wanted to commit an act of violence against them in public.
I think that's where it was.
So Fingers apparently a threat to injure a person earned him a rebuke from committee chair Ken King, who he is not a pro-LGBTQ person, okay? But it was enough for him to have to clap back, right? Sir, we do not make threats in this committee, who told Finger, who replied that King need not worry, nothing happened. Finger was allowed to finish his testimony, asserting that SB 8 was needed to install decency back in our society. After he made threats like that, that is what's gonna install decency back in our society, right? Immediately after Finger's remarks, this other fucker, a former Republican Senate candidate and member of the far-right militia, the Proud Boys, and that's who showed up to fucking testify. Okay, and also notably, we had how many people sign up to testify against? Over 500?
Yeah, a lot.
520 people signed up to testify against.
500 to
What?
20 who were for. So we had 500 against.
And then 20 people signed up to speak for the bill. Y'all want to know what they did? They did 4 of them against and then 4 of them for. So it looked like, in the committee, it looked like it was like this balanced thing when the majority of the people who were there to speak against the bill. Isn't that crazy? But they still prioritize people speaking for the bill, right? And they also limited testimony time to 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Yes. So there was a room full of people waiting to speak, and they still limited the testimony time, so people were not able to make their to say their testimony, including myself. I have my testimony right now, but that's okay.
What? The Texas Women Health Caucus actually held a little
Yes.
meeting in the auditorium.
Yeah, there was what was it called? A people's hearing. So they did a people's hearing afterwards, so that everybody who wasn't able to speak, they were able to speak to other folks, right? They were still able to make their voice heard and
It's good.
record their testimonies, right? And some representatives were there, yeah. And there was also so we also did a rally.
Oh, wow.
You see that? We're getting better. Okay, so okay, this fucker on the bottom, a part of the Proud Boys, he made numerous derogatory transphobic statements of his own denigrating the appearance of trans women in general. That was interesting. He said that we have to wear makeup to hide how ugly we are, or trans women, right? Which I think that kind of goes to show that like this man only respects women that he finds attractive, right? Right? It goes to show the misogyny in some of these bitches too. As he left the stand, he argued with members of the audience. I think I might have said something. And exchanged vulgar remarks, following which he led the back of the room and was ejected by DPS officers. So he dropped a clip of ammunition.
Oh.
How did? I guess do they not have a?
They have metal detectors.
But not on that building.
They don't
Well,
It was
oh,
DPS.
allow open carry in the Capitol building itself, but there's only one entrance that you have to go through and be scanned through DPS.
They allow open carry in the Capitol?
Yes, for DPS.
Well, next time I'll bring my guns. Imagine if drag queens will show their guns in the trigger. They might actually pass something to help restrict that at some point. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so that hearing was gross. It was fucking really disappointing. And then, so last night, was it last night? Yes, Monday night at 7. They passed the bill out of committee, and the agricultural museum, did you know there was an
That's so
agricultural
fucked up.
museum?
That's so fucked up.
Kaya goes, I was standing next to a jar of corn.
Literally a room with like 5 jars and like in a glass like case. That's it.
What?
So weird.
Do they normally do business in that room?
No, of course not.
Why would they do it in that room?
Because we can't go in there.
Because it doesn't have any cameras.
Because they usually live stream their
Yes,
hearings and stuff,
right.
so because they removed it and put it in this like alternate room that doesn't have the cameras, they weren't like
Bummer.
They have to hide, bitch. They have to fucking hide because they're what? Cowards and pieces of shit. Okay? So they passed on a committee. Did anything happen to it today that I'm not aware of?
No.
Okay, so on to the next one.
It is moved into the calendars.
Yeah, see, look at this. Look at this.
Okay, this is
I got a whole chart
So you might want to
to
take a picture of that.
explain where it's at. Y'all know how a bill becomes a law? I'm just a bill.
But I mean, just, this is what it means.
Bill. That's gonna be what I'm gonna perform. Imagine. Okay, I'm starting to lose it. It's the end of the day. Okay, so this is basically where both the bathroom and the abortion ban bill, they both passed together. Okay, so they started in the Senate. They go to here.
It always starts in the Senate.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes
No,
bills.
but the Senate is super fuckers, and the House is
The Senate is super fuckers.
and the House
is less super fuckers.
Yes.
I love they work. Okay, so it started in the Senate, so it passed over here, and then whenever you get to testify is whenever the bill's in committee. So you get to testify whenever it's in the Senate committee, and then y'all are so cute with your little thing. You know?
Well, this is exactly what you need to know, because that's important. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is how the bill becomes the law, and even during what are we in special session? They still have to follow this, right? So, although the timelines might be a little different for how long. Okay, so it starts in the Senate, goes through to the committee, then it goes to calendars, then it goes to the full Senate. So it passed the full Senate, and then it goes over to the House. Oh, right here. Okay. And it starts in the House committee, so that's what I was talking about, the committee meeting. So now that it's been passed out of committee, it's in the what?
Calendar committee.
Calendars committee, okay? And what you can do in the calendars committee is you can drop a red card, right? I know, how do I do that again? I forgot.
You usually need to go to your representative's office and they'll have like a QR code for you to scan and like drop a red card. Or if you are registering against in this, you have a.
You want to tell them? Here, you tell them. Y'all make some noise for a ride, right?
Okay, so how to drop a red card. So what what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the Capitol. You have to be there in person. I recommend looking up your representative ahead of time. If they are amenable, usually a Democrat, to being against these bills, they'll usually have like a QR code in their office which you can scan, just fill out a form and they'll drop the red card for you. Or if you have a particularly conservative representative, you can always go to one of the Democrats' office. They don't usually discriminate by like you have to be in their precinct. So I believe Howerton is a local rep to here in Austin, and she's awesome with this. And I believe
Goodwin's great. Busey's great.
UC as well.
Yes.
Yes,
They'll do it
that's
for
what I'm
you.
thinking. So, yeah, that's it right there.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so you can do that so that it basically, once the calendars committee schedules it, it goes back to the floor debate. And then it goes back to the Senate for them to, if there's any changes to the bill, approve it, and then it goes to the governor's desk, okay? So that's where we are right here, with both the bathroom bill and the abortion bill, okay? So that's what's going on right now. Yes. Anything else to add?
You can also call your representative.
You can also always call an email and borrow them, okay? Okay, but I think that is it for today. On to the next one. I always like to talk about the LGBTQ Quality of Life Commission. We do have a city commission, so if you do have anything that you would like to speak on, we do try to fight back some of these policies on a local level, right? So whenever the trans youth healthcare ban had passed, the commission passed a policy to deprioritize enforcement of the bill here in
Yes.
Austin. Okay, so there are things that we can do on a local level to help protect our trans community, and it's important that we know exactly how to fight back. And then, so if you have anything to say, please come to the commission meeting. It's the third Mondays at 6:30 at City Hall. I am on the commission, so you can come see me, you can come see. I will not be in drag most of the time, okay? But I will be still talking my shit, just like I am right now, okay? And then we also put together an Austin Trans Resource Guide, okay?
Awesome.
So the Austin Trans Resource Guide is available on my link tree. My link tree is in the bios of all of my social medias, okay? So we do have a guide on different organizations and resources and businesses that are safe and accepting of trans folks. So please utilize that. And if you do have anything to add, there is also a way to add anything else that needs to be added, okay? Does that sound good to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, well this has been like